Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Happy Sunday to you and your family. We're going to take a look here at RLC. I got a lot of requests for it based on its retracements and how high it increased recently. Just kind of asking the question, is it going to continue to progress lower? Well, we're going to look at that and much more. If you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, I just love teaching people to trade. I hope you can learn something here today. If you do learn something, obviously let me know. Love to hear it. And if you want to become a better trader, cryptocash.tech is a site. Link in the description below. I have a trading academy teaching you everything that I know, as well as a community where we all learn and grow together. And on top of that, I provide you with trading signals for every single trade that I take, so you can kind of learn how to structure your trades effectively, or more importantly, just essentially follow along if that's something that kind of helps give you some confidence there. Have a fairly high success rate. Yes, we've taken a hit or two recently, but we get back up and we try again, right? We continue to move forward. That's what trading is. You cannot be 100% all the time. All right, so taking a look here at RLC. What we want to look at is a handful of things. First of all, based on Fibonacci retracement, we'll take a look at these support levels. It's fallen all the way down to basically the 0.236 level. And that is a level that is pretty common for a strong push up like it did so far. Again, granted, it pushed up in a very unique way in that sense, whereas Bitcoin was kind of just plateauing at a key level resistance. And of course, it's had some trouble recently. It struggled and it's come back down. So again, this is a coin you probably want to respect and be careful with, but on the same accord, it does kind of look like it wants to come down even lower, just based on a few things. So first of all, the 200-day simple moving average is kind of above the price action right now. So we got a resistance at 141. Furthermore, as well, we've got a potential support level for the 20-day simple moving average, but I don't put a lot of weight onto that one. I would say the 50 is more likely a better support level, and you can see the 50's worked a lot better in the past. So in this regard here, I would say 106 would be a potential bottom for RLC, and a potential top would be 141, right? So that's essentially the concept, but we're still above 50 on the RSI, which is nice, but don't let that fool you at this point. Bitcoin is just barely over 30 on the RSI, and it still feels like it wants to come down. So based on the overall sentiment that Bitcoin should and likely will continue to progress lower, based on traditional markets gapping down on Friday and dollar index being up, if we see that same scenario happen again on Monday, RLC will take a hit and it'll probably come back down. We also have a MACD divergence here as well, telling us the big picture that there's a decent chance the price should continue lower. Again, it's overextended, and this overextension came in a 24 to 48 hour period. What do you expect? I mean, look at this candlestick here. That is one ugly candlestick, and that's definitely something that is going to, be corrected eventually, right? It's obviously been corrected. Don't get me wrong, on Friday it took a pretty big hit, but generally speaking, it doesn't look like it wants to continue to progress higher. Okay, and again, that's just based on the daily so far, right? We got to look at everything, of course, try to figure out what's going on, but at this point, you can kind of see it working within these Fibonacci retracement levels. We've got the price above the 200-day simple moving average that is beneficial, implying that 113, 114 is a potential support. So hypothetically, if you're going to have a short position, you'd want to have a take profit target just above that level and somewhere above the most recent low. Okay, so again, maybe 120, somewhere in that range as a potential target. Obviously, you want to have multiple targets, and you preferably want to use a trading bot like we do in our trading community. That kind of does everything automatically for you. But generally speaking, those are the kind of things you want to try to apply. We don't really have much of a divergence or convergence here on the MACD and the 4-hour. It's kind of running parallel, and that really just kind of tells us that the bulls are losing somewhat of a control. And we can kind of see here too, if we take a look at AD sequential, we came up to a 6 and got a reset. We're back down to a 5 right now. So we're not really being super consistent there, but we did hit an 8 recently on the downtrend when Bitcoin hit a 9. So it is falling fairly synonymous with Bitcoin to an extent, but this could be one of those 50-50 things. But honestly, it just doesn't. It kind of has that feel that it wants to come down. We're also getting rejected at 50 on the RSI and the 4-hour. Even though that's not a super strong indicator, it's still helpful to understand that we're essentially below that resistance. And there's a few other things too you can kind of look at. You can kind of see this descending type of trend. Let me go ahead and zoom out a little bit here. And if we just go ahead and use the candle wicks, we can kind of see that it's retesting those levels multiple times. Okay, so again, the likelihood of further downside seems pretty high at this point, but we want to look at other things too. The very last thing we probably want to take a look at would be the cloud, and this is just something that kind of helps reaffirm certain things. So first of all, the lagging span is essentially mostly within price action unless the price drops right now. Okay, so basically that's reiterating the fact that we don't want to open a short position at this moment based on that simple fact. Now again, To me, big picture, being the kind of trader that I am with more swing trading, I would say, I gravitate more towards that than a quick scalp or a day trade. I would say though that at this point, this is something that you want to pay attention to and recognize that this is, kind of letting us know that we don't have confirmation on either side. Again, you don't have to have only confirmation on the cloud to effectively help you understand and make a best big picture decision, because we've looked at the big picture. It looks pretty bad in the overall sense of things. So it's important to recognize that going into that. But if we factor this in as well, if you have a short position open, it pretty much says to leave it open, but you're kind of right at this point where it's a turning point. It's trying to figure out where it wants to go. You can also see it kind of working itself into a bit of a wedge here, and a lot of times those will either break up or down. Okay. Now again, for the most part, they do break down based on its original starting point being higher and coming down to this little pattern. So again, just a lot of bearish qualities here. Furthermore, also as well, we are still not above or below the cloud. Conversion lines below the baseline. So there's really just not a lot we can extract here, except that there was a pretty strong resistance level here, obviously, whereas the cloud is kind of holding the price action in place. Even when it broke above here recently, it got rejected over the weekend, and that's pretty standard stuff considering this descending trend. So to me, if we add everything up, it's a pretty strong likelihood the price will come down instead of go up. And to me, this just seems like a shorting opportunity more so than a long, based on the overall sense that Bitcoin feels like it wants to retrace. So it might be advantageous to consider, multiple targets. So for example, if just say we were to, go with a short position, you'd take an entry at about 130, and I would say a second entry potentially, or an area there, right at about 140, because we already addressed that is a key level resistance based on the 200-day simple moving average 141. So why not put it at 140 so you get filled just below it, and that way if it wicks up to that resistance level, comes back down, you still get filled, right? Again, different schools of thought. I like to have multiple entry targets, but again, I like to play it a little safer than most. So again, if that's your trading style, feel free to join cryptocash.tech as a site link in the description below. But I would say that, it's not looking bullish whatsoever for RLC. There's a lot more here in place for further downside, and I believe that will continue to happen based on the simple fact that Bitcoin should decrease in price and or value. The profits will be taken tomorrow. Pending the traditional markets are either average or abysmal. And those seem to be pretty consistent right now, whereas I think the regular market's going to continue to come down, and the same thing should happen with Bitcoin, and RLC will follow suit. Okay, so again, just something to think about. So that's kind of where we're at there. Thanks again so much for joining me here. Hope you learned something. Obviously, comment below if you did, and we'll look forward to working with you. Look forward to having a great rest of your day. You take care. We'll see you in the next one.